Going to get rolling. So you're in the right place if you're here for talking about how to plan your exercise program. And I'm going to try to block that bright light. So I've got handouts for you. If you didn't already pick up your handout, here's what you want to do. You want to go to flipping50, all spelled out, flipping, FIFTY.com/I, the letter M, strong, just I am strong. So go pick that up. It's 3 pages. You can either open it up on your computer and just type in that way, or you can actually scroll. And, I recommend if you want to lock this in, that you actually pick up a pen and you write down. And remember that? Right? We spent so much time in front of our computers, but that's a really good way to help yourself remember it. So I'm going to bring you down here so you don't have a shot of the ceiling quite so much. And I've got my whiteboard here just in case. So a little bit later, what I'd like to do is open it up and have you tell me, wait a minute, here's my schedule. I'm not sure because of this, this, and this, how I should schedule this. Because I know you're going to have some obstacles, and I probably cannot anticipate all of those. And we may need to just brainstorm, you and I, on what's a great schedule for you. And I also want to tell you this, that what's a great schedule for you right now may, in a couple of weeks, need a tweak, need a change. So you and I didn't know this was coming. Didn't know this week we were going to be in this place. And that's why we're actually having to do this, even if you were exercising, right? But we also don't know in 2 or 3 weeks, then where will we be? Things could have changed. We could have more freedom and flexibility, or we could realize maybe we're in this for a little bit longer than we wanted to be. And either way, we're all going to be fine. We're going to be great, but we want to have a good plan. So let's go. If you've got a chance to do this, what I want to give you here is a couple of different steps. So step 1, I want to give you the pieces that you actually want to use during this COVID-19 fitness programming, especially. And I'm willing to talk to anyone. So if you're not in this specific age range and you're not a female in midlife and perimenopause, menopause, or postmenopause, that's okay. Stick around because so much of this is going to pertain to you. We all need to be exercising appropriately for the right now that we're in. But inevitably, you've got some pieces that you want to use, and we have some pieces we need to lose right now. So even if you are, say, an endurance athlete, right now doing a ton of endurance is really not even the best thing for you. And I know that hurts, right? Because I would love nothing better than to, get rid of some of this stress and distract myself by plugging in my earbuds, listening to a lot of music and nothing else, no CNN for sure, and just going for a long bike ride. But that would not be ideal. So what I want to give you is, here's the sweet spot for where we're going to boost your exercise. We're not going to bust your exercise. So the last thing we want to do is make you weaker. And I want to give you some facts. We're posting at the Flipping 50 TV site right here on Facebook, kind of a playbook of some of the things that I've come out with in the last few weeks to help you deal. And one of those is an explanation of moderate exercise, because we keep hearing moderate exercise. You should get moderate exercise. Actually, that's a carryover from about the 1980s and 90s, and there's a lot of research since then that tells us actually we need a moderate amount of high intensity and low intensity exercise, but the worst thing for us is to do a lot of moderate level exercise, and I'll explain that in just a little bit. So you'll see it emerge. So I want you to get this first sheet if you have it and printed it off. If you didn't yet, open that up on your computer. So that again is flipping50, all spelled out, .com / the letter I, the letter M, strong. Just I am strong, no spaces. And that'll get you to here so you can download it and then be ready to write. So here are the pieces that we want. And some of them are absolutely, you need this. You might need it once. You might need to choose twice, or maybe you could do 3. And I'll tell you how you know which you are. So first thing up is strength training. I want you to do strength training twice a week. Twice is better than 3 times. Everybody who's used to more is better, it's not true. twice a week, especially if you're a female in the middle of her life, allows you to go hard enough to make it high quality, get you results when you do it, and allows you the recovery between. Here's a statement that Joe Friel said to me once in a podcast interview, and I've been saying it ever since, giving him credit, but fitness happens, or exercise provides the opportunity for fitness. Fitness actually happens during the recovery time between your exercise. So many of us are like, well, I exercised yesterday, I got to exercise today, right? I got to exercise tomorrow, or I did X amount today or yesterday, I have to do X amount plus. We escalate it. And that's not the ideal way to fitness. So if you tracked any elite athletes, Olympic athletes who have coaches, multiple coaches who give them training plans and schedules. I'm a strength and conditioning coach for athletes and for myself and for every fitness enthusiast that I've worked with, or fitness reluctant that I worked for. There's a plan, there's a progression, and there's days where we work and there's days where we don't. We rest in between. Some workouts can be recovery, but some require it. Another good thing to remember. So with your strength training workouts, you're going to have day 1 and day 2. And here's some rules. So what we're going to end up with is you've got all these little pieces. Where are you going to plug them in? The best rule to remember is that in midlife, you will probably do better with 3 days until your next one, 72 hours, not 48. So we grew up in fitness as adults, young adults and adults, and we grew up thinking Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That was kind of a schedule, right? Or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. That was what normal people did. And the better schedule now is probably do a Monday, Thursday. And of course that can go Tuesday, Saturday, or any combination that works. But you're allowing 2 full days when you do not strength training in between those strength training workouts, because then your muscles have a full capacity to actually be more resilient, be stronger, and they've had a chance to, when you work out, you're at this level and you want to get stronger, so you're lifting weights. Well, the goal is to get stronger and stronger and stronger, right? But if you work out here, when you do that, you kind of break yourself down a little bit, and the body doesn't respond by coming back to the same level. It responds by coming back up just a little bit higher than that, because it kind of says, I don't want that to be quite so hard next time. So each time you exercise, if you give yourself that rest, you do keep coming up. And we'll all have days when the same weight we did last week is hard today. What's happening? That's normal. It's just not normal for that to happen all the time. However, we're in this time zone right now when it's probably going to happen more frequently, because stress, your body does not know if it's because you just ran a mile or you lifted heavy or because you watched CNN and something else upset you and or you were applying for some stimulus loan and it's just a lot of hoops to jump through. Your body does not know the difference. So as you have those little things, or you have what used to be a quiet, peaceful house to yourself all day, and now you have many people under your roof and a lot more mouths to feed and meals to cook and laundry to do, then it makes sense that you're going to probably not have this even, smooth ride. Be okay with that. Just be kind of gentle with yourself during this time. If you are still going to muscular fatigue, reaching the point at the end of every set where you can't really do another good one, no matter what the weight is, you've been successful. That is what you're after. So twice a week strength training, putting them at least 72 hours between. So now you've got some rules, right? We have these 2 things sitting here on your list that you'll have to plug in. So don't put your days down yet, because we want to keep going through, and I'll have you circle back to where will those go. If you've already got them in your schedule, great. Then you can put them down. So moving over, you're going to do 1, 2, or 3 interval training sessions a week. So I'm talking to some of you who are brand new to doing interval training. I would still say, yes, I want you to do some interval training once a week at the very least. Even if It's the first time you've done it, and you're going to do 10 minutes of interval training, 10 minutes being time, including the hard interval, the recovery interval, the hard, the recovery, the hard recovery. That entire kind of alternating cycle of 10 minutes worth of it, that's where I would start most people. So up to all of us, about 45 minutes a week of interval training. There's a line where we've now had people doing interval training for long enough. It's really been a thing. It's no longer a fad and a trend. It's here to stay. And there's plenty of research to show that for you and for me and for younger people, both genders, it works. It's a great fat burner. It's a better visceral fat, belly fat burner than moderate exercise or slow and low exercise. Moderate exercise can work if you have tons of time, but if you are stressed, sister, like right now, probably it's better for you to hit it and quit it with your exercise. Get in and get out. So don't spend a lot of time. I don't want you actually doing moderate exercise. So it's 1, 2, or 3 times. If you're a beginner, you're just starting, you're just going to start with 1 time because it's harder on your body, no matter what you choose. Even if you were on a bicycle, so there's not high impact, it's still more stressful to the muscle. So we want to start with once. You might then, after a couple of weeks, increase to 2 times. And we would not want to put those on Monday and Tuesday. We'd want to say, okay, if I'm going to do twice a week, I'm going to do maybe a Monday and a Thursday for that, or a Tuesday and a Friday for that. That would work. So separate them a little bit. Could you do intervals on the same day you do strength? Absolutely. It could be your warm-up, or it could be the thing you roll into right after, because they're both going to be fairly short. None of the workouts we're going to focus on are very long. Endurance is not your best friend right now. That is one of the things to lose, with the exception of one thing, and I'll show you what that is. So if you choose to do intervals 3 days a week, with your maximum, your quota, being 45 minutes total of interval training a week, that would be then you're going to do 15 minutes each of those times. And that could be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or it could be Sunday and Tuesday and Saturday. And then the next week you wait a few days before you do it again. But you want to work your way up to that, okay? And it's 15 minutes each time, bookended by a good warm-up and a good cool down. So the total duration may be 25 or 30 minutes, but it's 15 of the alternating hard and easy, hard and easy. Make sense? So how can you do intervals? If you're at home, let's deal with that right now. So if you're at home and you don't happen to have a basement gym with an elliptical and a Stairmaster and a treadmill and a Peloton, what are you going to do? So there's a lot of options. You can hoof it, so you can get outside, go for a walk, or if you do jog or run, great, but you certainly don't have to. You can walk at a speed, changing speed, or finding hills where you find a hill that it takes maybe a minute and a half or a minute to charge up that hill, and then you turn back around and you come down and you do repeats up and down and up and down. That's an interval, provided that you're working hard enough where you truly get breathless, okay? So the 2 things I want you to remember is that for your exercise to truly boost your immune system optimally and balance your hormones optimally, you want to get breathless when you're doing cardio, specifically intervals, and you want to reach muscular fatigue when you're doing your strength training. Every single set. If you're doing 1 set, 2 sets, 3 sets, you're still reaching fatigue on set 1 and 2 and 3. You might have to start with a weight and then go to a lighter weight or a lighter weight on the 3rd set. So you take 1 set at a time and gauge, how do I feel this time, to choose your weight. But if you don't reach muscular fatigue every time, then each of those sets really didn't count, right? So we want to reach that muscular overload, because that's when the muscle gets stronger. And when you do that, you lift with a heavy enough weight that you reach muscular fatigue, you can see much more tone and definition and probably shorten those workouts. More effective, less fluffy stuff, get out of there. You're done. So this is not time consuming, really, and that's the best part, is we don't want you doing anything for an extended period of time. Right now, your best immune boosting is actually do more frequent, shorter exercise sessions. So do interval training with your warm up and cool down that maybe takes you 25 to 30 minutes, and then do a strength training session. A good strength training session is not about time. Remember, it's about fatigue. I've done many times 10-minute exercise sessions with my strength because I needed to do it. It was the day to do it. It was going to kind of put me behind if I didn't. So keeping consistent, doing less is better than putting it off completely. So tell yourself only 10 minutes, that's all I have to do. If you're feeling better, and most likely you will be, so then you can expand. You can do more exercises after that, okay? But you don't have to. So don't tell yourself you have to do a long one. Tell yourself 10 minutes. So I'm going to give it 10 minutes. If I feel like continuing, I can. If I feel like, you know what, I don't think today's the day, then you got consistency. Check that box. You did it. You boosted your immune system. And then you'll be back tomorrow probably feeling more rested because you stopped. Okay, so you've got strength training twice. You have interval training once if you're a beginner, twice if you're already used to doing it frequently, or 3 times potentially if you're used to doing that, but you're going to cut back and look at your total. No more than 45 minutes, and that's not a quota. So you don't ever have to get to 45 minutes. That's not a goal. The goal is getting breathless, okay? So we have to kind of get that doing more or reaching the max being the goal. That's not so much it. Definitely not right now. So long, slow, and low. Now that's in the middle of the worksheet that we're on. So long, slow, and low. This I don't want you to confuse. So endurance exercise would be, to me, when I'm talking about what that looks like, would be going out and going for an hour run. And if you like endurance exercise, that potentially is like, I would love that. I like to go for about an hour most days of the week, and you're going 6 miles most days. Probably not your best thing right now, okay? Cut back a little, change some of those days so that you're doing shorter, higher intensity, you're substituting strength training, and then keep one of those. You can keep one, but just don't overdo it and do that all the time. So you want to find your sweet spot. So if you haven't been for a long walk for a long time, if your long is 30 minutes, your long, slow walk may be just that, going for 30 minutes. But this is really better if it's hiking. It's out somewhere where you've got a view and it's beautiful and you're in green grass and woods and or desert, in my case, getting some sunshine, some blue sky. And even if it's cold, you're bundled up appropriately. It's so much better right now for us to be out and about and outdoors doing something you love. So this could also be not just hiking or walking, but biking. It could be gardening all day. It could be golfing. And I know that's a little tricky right now. There are some courses that are allowing that, some that are not, depending on where you are. So I want you to kind of think about what that would be for you. But the idea here would be, this is not about the miles, the minutes, the steps necessarily. This is not about the duration or if you're breathless, not at all. It's just get out, be moving, and enjoy it. So it's your endurance exercise, okay? So think about what is that that's longer and slower for you. Low to moderate. So if we were on a continuum, your low level to moderate exercise, you can fill in anywhere. So let's say you're doing 2 strength training sessions a week. You're doing 1 interval training session a week, and maybe you're going for 1 longer walk. That's 4 days. Now there's 7 in a week. I know you knew that. You can fill in those other days with low level to moderate exercise. You can go for a walk. And we need to right now get up. I was just on, some of you probably saw this earlier today with my friend Trisha Nelson of Heal Your Hunger. And we were on talking about how we're inside more frequently. She's in a cooler climate right now, not at her own home, but while she's at home, it's cooler. So she's not naturally outdoors a ton. And she's not in LA. She's not like walking to the store and going for a walk to lunch or to the library or to the post office or to grab groceries. So she's, one trip to groceries and then cooking at home. So there isn't that incidental movement during her day. So she said, I'm noticing that, so now it's consciously, I have to go for a walk. And, that's a little less true of me because I've got all of you, right? I'm doing yoga with you at 4. I'm doing in our Cafe Flipping 50 virtual membership, we're doing interval training and a low to moderate exercise 3 days a week. And I'm in there with you. So you're keeping me honest and we've got some built-in things. So think a little bit about your schedule. Do you need to purposely put some of that movement in that now you no longer have because you're not going to a job? If you were a teacher, you're not anymore, walking up and down the hall. You're not out on recess duty. You're not with the kids moving around in your classroom. So it is a little bit more sedentary. So if that's true for you, then you want to put some more of that movement in there. But don't confuse the benefit of that is to move more. And that we call sometimes that level, we call it NEAT, non-exercise activity time. But if you're going out for a walk, that's not what it is. But if you're inside your house and you're cleaning the house, you're doing laundry, going up and down the stairs, you're organizing closets, weeding out because we're all at home, we're nesting a little bit more. That is all valuable as well. It doesn't qualify as exercise, but the value of it, I want you to think of like this. According to the Mayo Clinic and looking at obesity rates and exercise versus non-exercise activity. So when they looked at, for people who were more prone to obesity, the correlation between them and exercise was not much. Like they exercised and still were obese, but it was the NEAT that was the hinge that big door swung on. So for those people who were obese, they exercised regularly and they also were very active with non-exercise activity time. They had a much easier time of losing weight and or never became obese. So the relationship was not even existing. For people who exercise and then the rest of the day, 23 hours, they're very sedentary. There's no non-exercise activity time. The likelihood that they become obese is much higher. So you want to simply be a mover and a shaker. And if you think 100 years ago, we were all that. Everybody was that. There was no such thing as having to exercise because life was exercise. You were active from the moment you got up. Everything was physical. There was no remote control. There was no push a button. I mean, you had to light the fire. You had to go get the wood. And we didn't need exercise because we were on the move. So if you can bring back more of that, that just will balance your concrete exercise, okay? We don't have that right now, not enough of it. So most of us are going to need more exercise. Let's talk flexibility and then we'll talk rest because these are also two musts in your week, all right? Flexibility does not have to be on a day all its own. So for instance, I mentioned we're doing most days a week right now. In fact, we're doing yoga right here at Flipping 50 TV, or tomorrow it's using the foam roller. So it's slightly different every day, but there is yoga in our everyday. After you finish strength training, you finish interval training, you finish a long walk, or you come in from gardening, there should be some stretching at the end of it. So think about every day should be, every day you exercise, there should be some flexibility and stretching going on afterward. And you can do yoga or Pilates that enhance mobility and or flexibility. So two different ways to say something very similar. So mobility is really your ability to move through your full range of motion at each joint to feel like You're moving much more naturally and more fluid. We need strength and we need mobility. That is stability, and that's what we're all after for the next decades. So flexibility almost every day. So you really don't want to pencil that in on any specific days unless you're also doing another yoga. But we need stretching every single day. What I do want you to do is pencil in specific places where you know you need it. If you tend to hold your tension up here in your shoulders and you're tight there, that's someplace I would pay specific attention to. If right now it's creeping into your lower back, you've got tight hips, and your lower back is a little bit more grouchy than it normally is, I want you to stretch your hips and potentially your upper back, because usually it's the joints above and below that end up showing up, the signs show up between. So often if it's your lower back, it's your hips or it's your upper back are not as mobile as they should be. Make sense? Okay, last but not least is that sixth component I have there, and that's your rest day. So right now, it's a little bit tricky. Normally, 364 other days of the year, you catch me and I would say, make sure you have a rest day. A day where you're very active, but you're not actually exercising. This time that we're in right now might be the exception to the rule, so long as you're keeping your exercise very short. And think of it like if I had a bottle of medicine right now, I would put it right here. Think of it as a bottle of medicine. And if I had a bottle of medicine or I had a bottle of vitamins, and it was literally a prescription that I was supposed to take, and there's 60 in here, and I'm supposed to take one every day, or I was taking one in the morning and one at night, I would never, ever, 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 ever take that whole bottle at once. Right? And if I needed it, it was truly a prescription, I would never just skip it and not take it. If I knew I needed it, it was good for me, and it was causing me some pain or aggravation of some kind if I didn't. So I'm going to take it at the dose and at the time that I need it. And exercise is really the same way, especially right now. Well, we're talking about boosting your immunity. So we're going to pay attention to signs and symptoms, and we'll talk about that next, that you're doing too much. Signs that things are going really well, what does that look like? And signs that you're either doing too much or too little and you have not found that sweet spot. We'll talk about those as well. So now let's total your days up, okay? So potentially, and all of you, each one of you is going to be slightly different, but you're going to have 2 strength training days. Can't do that on the same day. And you're going to have a rest day where you're lighter. So at least if it's not a full rest day, that you are doing a recovery exercise much more than you're doing something hard. Okay, so you want to have at least one of those in there. If you're a beginner or you have a compromised immune system, I might suggest that you do have a full rest day, and it's more just you're active, but maybe taking an old 12-year-old dog around the block, you're doing that kind of exercise. Okay, so 1, 2, or 3 times a week, you're going to do intervals. So you've got a 4th day in there, at least all of you, and then 1 just longer and slower day, kind of pushing a different aerobic system, all right? But you're not going to take that to a level where you're exhausting yourself. There's a big difference between doing a long, slow hike or bike that you come back and you feel invigorated, like that was great, versus one that's like, oh my gosh, I have to take a nap. That is one of the signs you've done too much. If you could sleep, take a nap right after you finish exercise, you've done too much for where you are just right now. So it's back that off. You should feel more energy. You should feel better for the rest of the day for having done the exercise, as opposed to feeling more tired. So we don't want anybody to couch compensate, certainly not to go to sleep, okay? Because then for sure, we know the immune system is compromised. Totally not what we're wanting, okay? So what I'd love for you to do is take a few notes just here and think about, okay, do you need 1 interval training day? Do you need 2? Do you need 3? Your rest day if you're planning to do a full, really a rest day, or just writing rest/recovery day on that, think about what day that's best for you. So for me, Monday is almost always my rest day. It's my recovery day. So usually that's a day that I would, outside of COVID, do yoga and some stretching, walk the dog, but that's really it. So that's generally because I've done maybe a longer, slower day, and I've done interval training and yoga on the weekend. So it's been a bigger, busier, more active weekend. And then Monday I'll recover, which is sandwiching it very wisely. So I want you to think about that too as you start getting ready to plot your schedule. You want to put a hard day, and you want to put a little easier recovery day. You want to put a hard day or a shorter day, and a weight training day. So you're complementing what you did yesterday with today and thinking about, what am I doing tomorrow, so that they fit, so that you're kind of excited and looking forward to each one of those new ways of exercising, and not feeling like you're punishing yourself over and over again. So it should feel good. It should feel like, oh, I'm really looking forward to doing that tomorrow because it's quite different. And another way you can do that is help yourself by choosing different modes. So for those of you who are at home and you don't have equipment, so you can, do some things where you're walking, you're outside, you're inside. Do some kind of aerobic activity, some kickboxing exercise, but try to vary how you use your body. So you wouldn't want to walk every single day. You certainly want to go on a really long walk every single day. You want to change the energy system you do, meaning some days you're going to go and really push and do the interval training, and some days you're just going to go longer. And the intensity will come from the length, not from how much you're breathing or how hard you're breathing. So variety is good in how hard, the intensity level, but also in the way that you're using your body. So if you have the advantage of walking, you have a rebounder at home, you have a bicycle you can put on a trainer at home. Now you've got good variety, different ways to use your muscles. You're going to feel better at the end. So the last thing we want is for COVID to get over and to have all of us have plantar fasciitis because we ramped up doing too much more walking and running all at once, right? So you do need some variety. If you already have some signs, you have some issues with your feet, don't push it, okay? So definitely reach out and let's brainstorm how we can get you moving safer now that we don't have access to quite as much. Okay, so sheet 1, how we doing? Good? All right, I'm gonna sneak in here, see if I can read any questions that might be coming up here. Hey, Shanetta. Got a lot of resources online for workouts, but having a hard time sticking to something. So by the end of this, what I want is that you've got a good plan. So that's exactly why we're here. There's tons of resources, but what you don't need is actually just to go and randomly pick a workout. You need to know, what am I doing today? Why am I doing it? Have some purpose to it. That's the best way. So, hey, Gwen from Seattle, and Emmy, hey, from Colorado Springs. Nice. Where are the forms on the website? flipping50.com/I, the letter M, and then strong. And you may have already gotten that. How's Maine? Sounds doable. Good, good, good. Fresh air and sunshine. Definitely need the exercise. 70 in LA. Blue skies smiling at me. Leslie, singing. Okay, awesome. All right, let's go second page. So I'm going to leave the one with the calendar until last, okay? So I want you just to think a little bit deeper about yourself on the second page. And this is the one with restore before more, okay? So these are a couple of what I call the flipping 50 creeds, if you will. So kind of fall under the things you want to remember, if not only immune boosting, that's important to all of us, but hormone balancing is also important to you. So if that was important to you 5 and 6 weeks ago, it's important to you today. It may kind of take a back seat because we want to make sure, number one, that none of us get sick, right? But here's the truth. it makes sense that if we are doing what strengthens our immune system, that is also affecting our endocrine system, our hormone system. If we follow the things right now that honestly could be life-threatening for any of us if we caught it, if we follow the things that are kind of paramount to our health right now, we will also be helping ourselves balance our hormones. So bad habits that we may have had, faulty thinking from decades ago, is going to be easier to let go of right now. So if you're looking for a silver lining in all of this, this is it, right? So number one, restore before more. So the notes are there in case you're not sure what that means. But what you want to be thinking is, if you are exhausted, you're waking up in the morning and have to get up, but you feel hungover. You're really not feeling like getting up and getting out of bed, and you're not sleeping well. Understandably, I think most of us are having this, I slept okay and then I didn't sleep okay at all. And I did and I didn't. And we can't control that. I mean, we can do certain steps. There's flipping50.com/sleep-yourself-skinny, a book that helps you with the hormone balancing and gives you 20 things that you can do in your sleep routine at night to help you sleep. You are in more control than you think. So if you're not applying a routine and saying, okay, bedtime is this, no screen time, here's what I do every night before I go to sleep. I'm taking a bath. I'm, taking magnesium with dinner. I'm reading a book, but not looking at screens. You've got to have a good routine. So sticking to that, if that's the challenge, get an accountability partner. Okay. I mean, literally, I'll be that for you if you need it, but we need to report to somebody such that, like, in the morning, you would say, I did it. You stuck to my bedtime routine, and here's how I slept. So if you just have that accountability, we need somebody to hold our feet to the fire right now, because these things are important and we're being told that. So restore before more means don't focus on just putting these things into your workout and going all out if you're already exhausted. I would want you to start with a regular exercise time every day and then move at that time, but don't impose high intensity until you are truly restored. You're feeling a little bit more rested, like you were pampered at a spa all month. Treat yourself like that. So you can go for a walk. But the key I just said, if you missed it, was choose the same time every day. And if that's 8 a.m., 7 a.m., if it's 5 p.m., right now, it matters less what time it has to be, but try to have a regular time, because we all need this anchor. We need some anchors of, this is part of my day, this is when I'm doing this. And if it's just kind of randomly whenever, like I can do it in the morning on this day, but not on this day, and you're putting it all over, it's less of a consistent thing, and we have too much of that right now. So I would put it at the same spot every single day. Little things that you do regularly are going to help you more. Don't go deep and hard until you're feeling more restored. The second time is, okay, intense early if you can. So I just said any time of day is better than no time of day. And I'm going to back into that for right now. Ordinarily, my Flipping 50 peeps here, especially in the membership, know that absolutely, if you can do your intense exercise early in the day, you're helping yourself work with your cortisol levels naturally, and you're going to boost your energy for the rest of the day. If you have to do your intense exercise, later in the day, it's not as ideal, simply because we should be winding down. As cortisol comes down, we should be preparing for rest and better sleep and relaxation. And if you rev yourself up, intervals are probably the worst. Strength training is not so bad. It doesn't rev your whole system up for long periods of time. You'll have a minute when you're doing an exercise, and then you get kind of a little reprieve between. So it's not so challenging in terms of sleep. But do try to do it before your dinner, not after your dinner. The later in the day you have to exercise, you're going to make it late. So a longer walk or a moderate level walk, low to moderate, in the evening is okay. Don't do intervals. Don't do it super long. And don't do right? So it's just do it and then relax, or do yoga and relax. So the later you have to go, the less you want to do. Nobody should be exercising within about 3 hours of bedtime. And normally I would not even suggest even that. So think about that. Restore before more. Do your intense exercise early, your light late. So as the day goes on, get lighter and lighter in the intensity. And then number 4 is reach fatigue. And I mentioned that when you're strength training, every single set should reach fatigue. Like, I can barely do one more of those. So if I were doing a tricep kickback, it's like, it's just not happening. I'm starting to slip down. I can't hold my elbow up there anymore. I'm done. Every set. So if you're doing 3 sets, set 1 is that way, 2 is that way, and 3 is that way. And you worry about what weight you need when you're in the set you're in, and you don't worry about the next one. So it's just reaching fatigue is success, whatever the weight is. And I'm not going to take a lot of time to get into how many repetitions to fatigue. So if you're a beginner, you're going to do a higher number, maybe 15 to 20, even 20 to 25. Or if you've got some issues with a joint that if you go too heavy, you can do more repetitions and a lighter weight. Or if you're limited because you're at home right now with lighter choices of dumbbells or a kettlebell or whatever you're lifting, then you need to kind of use what you need to, but you can also slow down. Most of us tend to do this, right? Instead of maybe doing this and then pausing at the end and doing this and pausing at the end and holding here and pausing. And if you do 15 sets like this, very, very slowly, that weight will get heavier pretty quickly. Okay, so you can overcome few weights at home, I promise you. Okay, so do reach fatigue though, because that matters a great deal. And then number 5 is do moderate amount. This is really the best interpretation of what does moderate exercise mean. It's a hangover. That advice is simply a hangover from the 80s and 90s. Do a moderate amount of high intensity and low interval training, and do a moderate amount of strength training just twice a week, and do a moderate amount of doing those longer, slower walks. Don't do any moderate exercise. You want to go high and go low, and that's the best way. We call that middle zone no benefits zone. So it's not ideal really for anybody unless you are training to do half marathon. And nobody's doing that right now because there are no races. And so even if you are an endurance athlete and that's your jam, that's really not the best thing for you right now. It would back off of your training as well. Okay, so let's hit this last box. That's signs that you haven't found the sweet spot. You're either doing a little too much or a little too little. You've got cravings. Could be salt, could be sugar, could be in the afternoon because you were sleep deprived last night. Those cravings will typically hit somewhere between 1 and 4 p.m. We get a little weak, and I work in the kitchen. It's dangerous, right? But it's just a little bit too handy and convenient to be at home all the time, close to the refrigerator and the freezer and the pantry. Cravings are a sign, one, that exercise isn't as ideal. So there's probably nutrition pieces in that as well, in those cravings. However, if you're exercising too much, generally you'll have more cravings, more sugar cravings. And if you're not exercising enough, you probably haven't seen an improvement in a reduction in cravings. Your blood sugar tends to be a little bit more stable if you're exercising regularly, so it's good there too. A lack or an increase of your appetite. So a lot of middle-aged women, are eating because it's time, but don't have a good appetite. Their hormones are not really telling them that they're hungry at an appropriate time or that they're adequately full but not too full. And when you start exercising appropriately, everything gets moving a little bit better, literally, so you become more regular. That can help, and you consistently then should be ready for a meal, not ravishing, but ready for a meal, and get comfortably full and satisfied, enjoying your food. So that's a sign you're on the right track. If you have sleep disruptions, you could be exercising too much or not enough. So that sweet spot really for brand new exercisers, or if you're, having a hard time doing it regularly and you need to restart, 10 minutes a day is all it takes to boost your sleep quality by 33% in self-reports. So people say that just by moving 10 minutes a day, and nobody imposed an intensity level on that study or those subjects. They just were walking at their own pace, 10 minutes a day. Their self-report of sleep quality went up 33%. So that's a pretty big return on your investment, I would say. So those little 10 minutes here, 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, so very valuable. Muscle fatigue or aches. So if you're not recovered yet when your next workout comes up, you probably are either doing too much overall, or just you're doing a hard one and then trying to do another hard one. So do a hard one, do an easy, lighter workout, and then a hard one. And as you rotate, by doing it that way, your fitness level will actually increase much faster when you do. Soreness starting the next workout, that kind of goes hand in hand with fatigue or aches and pains in the muscles. An inability to concentrate or focus, you can really help yourself by exercising in that sweet spot. If you're doing too much, chances are you can't hold your attention span for very long, and you tend to get a little bit more obsessed about the exercise itself. It's all you start thinking about. Your day revolves around it. And if you don't fit it in, you don't feel good. And, that's a little too far. We want you to actually feel better when you exercise than when you don't, on the days you do. But it's perfectly okay also simply to be an active person, moving around a lot, not necessarily exercise. And you should be able to feel good when you don't exercise too. Okay, so inability to concentrate, you improve your focus, concentration, creativity, problem solving, and productivity when you're exercising in the sweet spot. So right now, while all of us are probably feeling a little bit more stress about things, right, coming at us at the wrong time, I can give you an example. This afternoon, I was just about to go on and do a live Facebook with Trisha. So I was hosting her. She was going to be waiting for me and had a banker call. I needed to reach out to my CPA. So, in regards to the PPP applications, things have to be done when other people want them done, right? So just these extraordinary things coming at us at all the wrong time that we can't control necessarily. So by helping yourself exercise, clear some space in the cobwebs by getting out, just walking, maybe not plugging in, maybe just listening to nothing. You can put them in so that you don't have to hear anything, or just walk, listen to birds, wave at your neighbors. And that will help you refresh and kind of reboot when you come back in so that you can focus a little bit better too. So there you have it. Now it's time for your last page. So this is where I am willing to brainstorm with anybody, but what I want you to do is to kind of fill things in. So kind of now a little bit more about what you need to do. 2 strength training sessions a week, 1 rest day a week. And it may be helpful to come in and say, this is the best rest day for me. And you could put rest/recovery. So you may want to move, but you might want to decide that first and then decide, right now it's all a little bit like, what day is this? Like it's a weekend or it's Monday. I don't know. It doesn't matter. So if your days, your week really does still have rhythm to it, maybe because you're working remotely, but in an office still, you may still have weekends that you want to capitalize on and do a little bit more exercise when you have a little bit more free time. So you may want to write in your Saturday and your Sunday. So obviously you could do weights on one of those days, but not both. And then you'll put the other weight training day in the middle of the week somewhere, like Wednesday or on Tuesday. You'll put that rest day somewhere. You can put intervals and pair it up. So here's where I would think, if you are somebody who loves exercise and you're like, I want to do it all. I know you, okay? We could talk. We're probably friends. But if you're just beginning, you probably would do best choosing a time and just alternating days. So you're going to do strength on one day, do intervals on another, do a long, slow walk, do a rest day, do a moderate day, weights. If you love exercise, you could do weights and intervals, short, right? And then you could do a longer day. You could do a day off, and then you could do, maybe on your day off, you're doing yoga though. And you could do weights and intervals again. You could do a long, slow walk. So you can do a little bit more. Just know yourself, okay? So know who you are and pay attention to the signs that, okay, I made a plan. I'm working the plan. How well is it working? How am I sleeping? How's my appetite? And you'll get feedback from your body. Yeah, I will post the link again for you. So that is... let me put that in here, and I can't talk and type at the same time. But right now what I'd like you to do is, if anybody has specific questions that they want help with in coming up with your week or your schedule, obstacles that you have on work days. So you may have a couple of days where you maybe you do business internationally and you have to start really early, and by the time you do that, at the end of the day, you just have no energy and you don't want to do it. You may have a couple of days in your schedule that look like that, and you're going to say, okay, I can't do that. I talked to a woman last week, and she, even though she's working from home and now doesn't have a commute, she starts very early. It's a kind of big job, stressful job. So she's starting at about 7 a.m. because they do have international clients, and she's working until about 6 or 6:30, even while she's working at home. So, she's in her late 60s, close to 70, and she's like, I exercise during the week. It's just not going to happen. She has one day when she knows she can go in late, and other than that, nothing. So she really capitalizes on her weekends and that one day so that she gets some exercise then. And we're trying to get her to stand up and be more active. So there's problem solving things that we can do for you if you've got some kind of puzzle to solve. So let me know what that is. Tracy says, that is so typical for me. Schedule gets knocked off that way. Work, clients, partner needs. If you get thrown off for the day, do you recommend just doing whatever you can? That's a great question. So yeah, one of the ways that I address that usually is say, let's have a plan A, a plan B, and then you have a plan C. Plan A is do your calendar. Like, this is what I want. Here's my plan. Write it in. It's beautiful, perfect, right? And then plan B is, got derailed here, so I can't do that. And maybe it's that I can't do it at the time I was going to do it. So that 7 a.m. is no longer going to work because I had to do something for someone else. I'm going to do it over my lunch hour. Maybe that's your plan B. Or maybe it's that I just suddenly lost my 45 minutes became 20. And so instead of doing a longer or interval training and weights, it was a weight day, and you decide, I'm just doing weights. That's what I'm doing. And I can move my intervals to tomorrow and swap that out with a rest day. So that's kind of plan B. And then plan C is, if all else fails, like there's no B, B isn't happening either today, then your plan C is, I'm going to go through those 10 minutes of stretches for my hips so that I work on my core, and I'm going to keep my lower back healthy. And then I can say to myself, I stayed regular, I stayed consistent, I am somebody who exercises regularly and makes it a priority. So there's your, here's my plan A, this is perfection. Here's my plan B, it's a little messy. And here's my C, if all else fails, I'm still doing this. And here's the other thing. So I'm going to kind of come off camera and I would love for all of you to do this if you don't. So this is the other thing that I do while I'm at home, much more consciously than when I'm coming and going regularly. I'm drinking just, this is not a huge glass either, but I'm drinking like a glass of water every hour. And, so even that can fit into your, if all else fails, you can say to yourself, I drank my water today, I had my smoothie today, I was consistent with my goals as far as hitting nutrition today. So it's okay, right? So yeah, great question. Thank you so much. Robin, I love you. When life returns to normal, I love that statement. Work is 8 to 5:30, Monday through Thursday. Workouts have to be in the evening. Should I just plan on 15 to 20 minutes? Yeah, and what I would do is capitalize on your Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, Robin. So if it's Monday through Thursday, then I would do an interval and potentially a weight training workout on, say, Friday. I would do a long workout on Saturday. I would do intervals on Sunday. And then at some point, Tuesday or Thursday, do a weight training workout in the evening. And you can do a great weight workout in 20 minutes. And that way you have hit almost all of the really important and key things. And then the rest of the week, I would definitely do something, but you could even move it to walking after dinner, with your husband or partner or dog. But it could go a little bit later and be just lighter movement with the goal of not breathing hard, not getting your heart rate up, but of relaxing and kind of transitioning into evening and getting some fresh air to sleep better. But then you can hit all those things. So I hope that was helpful in playing with that. Kelly says, hey, what would a HIIT look like? How many minutes of high intensity and then recovery? Yes. So when I mentioned that earlier, depending on how many days a week you're doing it, whether you're a beginner, advanced, or intermediate. So I'm not sure if you were here the whole time or not, but if you're doing it one time a week and you're a beginner, we're going to start you with 10 minutes. So that's 10 minutes total of the hard and the easy recovery time in between. If you're a little bit more advanced and you want to be doing, say, just twice a week and doing them for, say you want to be doing them for 20 minutes each, 25 minutes each. That's maybe 30 seconds super hard, 1 minute easy, and recovering just like that. So 1 minute easy. So alternating those to fill that 15-minute or 20-minute time slot would be how I would recommend you do that. So whether it's once or twice or 3 times a week is determined by how much time a week do you have to spend. So I can't give you a quota without knowing if you're a beginner, intermediate, or you've been doing intervals, if you're doing already up to 45 minutes, or if you're just starting. So there's a lot of variables in there. You have to kind of go through the blueprint yourself and say, okay, but you can alternate 30 seconds hard and a minute easy. You can alternate 1 minute and 1 minute. You can alternate 30 seconds and 30 seconds. For all of our subscribers, flipping50.com/stay active, stay-active. For all of our subscribers, I've shared the interval training book that has 7 different circuits in it. So giving you examples of how you can get variety in your interval training at home, because you don't always want to go to the same thing. So I hope that was helpful. Okay. Anybody else have a question? Makes sense. Stretch and core, bare absolute. Good, good. Very helpful. Okay, good. Glad. I'm going to scan back up just to make sure I haven't missed anybody. Monica, can interval training include hand weights to help heart rate up? I wouldn't recommend it. So, for example, squats alternating with bicep curls. So, I don't want to confuse the two. So, Monica, interval training and strength training are two different animals. So, if you're really talking about immunity and you're talking about hormone balance, if you can hold weights like that, and your heart rate will come up when you do squats, but you're not going to get to a point where you're breathless. And if you do, you're not doing muscular fatigue work. So if you try to blend these two things together, you're going to make both of them gray and cloudy. Does that make sense? So you want to pick a weight, you go heavy enough, you go slow enough, you feel the muscle fatigue. And when you do intervals, you're going to go fast enough or resist enough on a bike or an elliptical trainer or punching and boxing that you get breathless so that you're here. You got to put your hands on your knees and you have to stop. So one is fatigue and one is interval training, and you've got to hit them both. If you try to blend them together, we don't get either. Does that make sense? So I would not. All right. Hey, Lisa and Jan, getting back to my schedule. Good, good, good. You're loving the Stronger program. So good. Repeat the link. I did put it below. Lisa, I hope, and I said a couple times, I hope you got it. Let me know if not. It's snowing in Erie, Pennsylvania. I'm so sorry. I won't tell you what it is here in Scottsdale. The form on the website, I know a couple of you were asking early. So it's flipping50.com. I am strong, and I did put it on the comments. So I'm hoping that you all got that. Did it not come out? So I'm just going to put it one more time. This new studio for going live is a little weird. I'm not in love with it. So sometimes I can see things I posted and I can't see your comments, and that's not helpful to either one of us. So it is in the comment, let me know, and I do see where I put it a little bit earlier, so thanks. Okay, anybody else have a question with a schedule that I can help you with? All right. You got the printout? Okay, good, good. All right, last but not least, guys, if you have questions, please feel free. If you're coming to this later and you didn't get the printout will still be there. It's not going to go away, so you can still use this. And food, and actually that's what I was going to suggest. So I've got two resources. If you'd like me to tell you about them, Jean just asked. So I'm going to, number one, I will give you a quick fix, and I tell you this because this is actually the last day. So in fact, I have a post-it note to remind myself to tell you. So this is the last day of protein and fiber combination. If you want to try flipping 50s and you have not, or for that matter, if you have, GoPro 10 is 10% off of a combination of protein and fiber. Protein and fiber right now are our best friends. I think for a woman whose hormone balancing is one of her goals, it always is. But during COVID, while we're at home and while stress is a little bit higher and you're close to the kitchen, and cravings, and you can easily grab things, and I think it's probably worse for some of you who have a full house right now, and not everybody is necessarily wanting to adopt your healthy eating lifestyle. So to help yourself, protein and fiber together will at least kill cravings. They help you stay satisfied a little bit longer. So you can also get creative with those. So you can create a chocolate and an almond butter smoothie, and that's a heck of a lot better than Girl Scout cookies, right? I think we can agree. You can make dessert-like things with them, or you can literally start your day with protein and fiber in a smoothie. because there's no better time to start that way, because then your choices at lunch and at dinner, it's proven, are better. You just choose healthier things because you're in more control. The last thing you want to do is spike your insulin. So if you eat something that has a lot of sugar in it, or heavy on the carbohydrates, even sometimes the healthy ones, you'll spike your insulin, and that means you've shut off fat burning and you turned on fat storage. So your body won't go and use excess fat. And we're probably closer to the kitchen, and it's a little bit easier right now to store it when we're also stressed. So that's a great combination. Enough about that. All right. So that's at flipping50.com in the store. Vanilla or chocolate in either the plant option or the paleo option. But in May, and I'm going to start talking about this, I think our doors open in the next couple of days. We have a food flip, and it's relatively new. I created it last November. We implemented it for the first time in February, and it went over very well. Typically, we only provide that to people who are in our Stronger program or in the cafe. We're going to open it up to anyone who's had one of our strength training programs, as well as to the public right now. And we've decided on pricing that makes it easier to access for those of you who are, going through COVID-19 stressors. And we know it's different, it's hard, and it's unpredictable. But we also have to take care of our health. So that special pricing will be available in the next couple of days. But the food flip is really a nutrition and exercise guide that gives you some structure. So it will tell you, breakfast, lunch, and dinner with recipes. And there are a lot of smoothies in it. So part of that is to help your liver do a little natural detox. So it's not as if you're fasting, but you're giving your body the impression somewhat that you're fasting a little bit. So you're able to go easy on digestion, go easy on the liver. And then we're also removing foods that tend to be kind of weight loss resistance food sensitivities for most people. And then we'll reintroduce. And what I'm giving all who get involved in May is 2 extra weeks to reintroduce. And then I'll be there in the Facebook group with you, walking you through that piece. So the higher quality your food is right now, the better. Higher protein at every meal will keep you a lot more satisfied and sated. So what you want to stay away from is those recreational carbohydrates, okay? So in all ways, liquid and or solid form. And if you get a good start with plenty of vegetables, which is why I like a smoothie, because it's a vessel for 1 to 2 cups of vegetables that ordinarily many of us would not get in our breakfast. And high protein, high fiber, a little bit of fat, you'll stay full for hours. And when you're not distracted, you're going to feel much better and make better decisions later. The food flip. So yes. All right, great. And thanks for asking. And you order the protein and fiber. Oh, good. Which one did you order? Did you order plant or the paleo version? Colleen, I do not ship to Canada, but if you will message me, I have a good friend who's a trainer in Canada, and he has shared the plant protein that he likes. It's a vegan protein, so I will share that with you. I don't know it off the top of my head. I should, because I give that out fairly frequently. Okay, I think I have sort of all of your. So if you're watching this recording later, or you're here and you later come up with a question, please let me know. I will also be sharing this, because inevitably when you're teaching something, I will go through this tonight probably and say, oh, I wish I would have remembered to include this piece or said it like this to help get it across. So I'm going to download the video. I'll be sharing that with our Flipping 50 subscribers. So if you're not there already, flipping50.com/stay-active. This will come to you, and I will be adding any notes that I did not think of on the moment. So, okay, thanks so much for being here. If this was helpful, keep me in mind. I will answer questions as long as I can, as long as this is up. And I would for you if you would share it with a friend, if you know someone else who's just not quite sure what they should be doing right now or looking for resources. Thanks so much, everybody. Stay strong, stay home, stay strong.